Hi, I'm Hollis with Klamath Basin Fresh Direct Organic Potatoes, here with Chef Leif Benson, Oregon's 2010 Chef of the Year. Chef Benson has come up with an interesting recipe for us today. Why don't you tell us some more about that?
Yeah, this is it's a bit of a play off of surf and turf in a way, although we're using potatoes as the turf part of it in an odd way, probably because it's coming from the ground, but that's the turf part. Anyway, so what we're doing here is using the Klamath pearls and as part of the dish, and just to explain it, we're doing a wild salmon and Klamath pearl nage. A nage is actually a poaching liquid that we're going to be arriving at by all these ingredients. So we're going to poach the salmon in there. The great thing about the Klamath pearl is that we have ultimate versatility. We have this terrific array of sizing. And this is, having a potato like this, I love this. This is a great size. You don't have to do anything to it. You pick it up with a fork, you eat it, you don't have to peel it, you don't have to cut it, just prep it. This is such a great size. So I love the variety between this size, which I believe is the smallest size, to a little bit larger size. But what a great amount of versatility with these.
These potatoes are actually, you can find them at your local grocery store. I recommend asking your local grocer. But we do sell these on the market. But they are mixed in with our typical small Klamath pearl bag. So you can find them in your local grocery store.
And frankly, these will make a great salad. Just leaving these whole in a nice vinaigrette with some nice fresh vegetables in there, terrific salad.
Can you boil them for what, 15 minutes?
Probably 15, 20 minutes. Again, with the Klamath pearl, you don't have to worry about overboiling. They just stay nice and tender. They stay intact. It's just a great one. So this is really a good versatile thing. I can think of so many ways of using this, like a risotto style. Again, like talked about salad, is almost like a quenelle, like in a soup, like a dumpling sort of thing would work well. Dipping into things, like dipping this into a fondue. It just goes on and on. This is something you can really do a lot with. And today we're going to start off and do this nage. And the nage is this poaching liquid, so we're just going to start off by turning the burner on and getting it hot here. And we're going to use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, because in this case we're not really lubricating anything, we're actually is a flavor. So we want to use extra virgin on this, which I love. Love to dip bread in that. Love the potatoes in there. So then we're going to start off with the olive oil, and we're going to drop in what's called a mirepoix. And this is called also a bernoise vegetables, which is celery, carrots, and onions. It's a classic French mirepoix, which is here to develop flavor. They're aromatic, so we're going to drop that in, and we're just going to kind of get them translucent, and start off with that. And then we're also going to drop in a little bit of fennel. Now the thing about fennel is the classic combination with seafood and fennel, particularly with salmon. So we're going to drop in some fennel, and it has that kind of licoricey sort of flavor, anise, but this is fresh fennel. And leeks also work extremely well in this preparation, so we're going to drop in some leeks here. And then we're going to hold off and let this saute for a little bit. Just kind of stir it around and kind of get it going here a little bit. And ultimately what we're going to do, we're going to develop a broth here, and then we're going to ultimately poach our salmon in there. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of speed this up a little bit, but you want to get those vegetables sort of translucent and you can start smelling them and so on. And I work that up.
I can already smell them.
Yeah, it's coming up pretty quickly already. And I'm going to go ahead and drop in some of the parsley. And then it's also going to do, this is also called a tomato concassé, which is basically a seeded tomato. And it's not really overly necessary to seed them, so if you don't want to seed them, no worries. It's not really a big deal. So let's saute that up a little bit.
So this is all part of making that broth that you call nage.
Exactly.
Wow, this is delicious.
And I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to go ahead and just put in some of the chicken stock. Now here again, you could use seafood stock if you had it. You could use a vegetarian stock. This would work either way.
Now, are we getting to the point where you're going to cook the potatoes in this broth?
I'm going to do it right now, exactly. So what I'm doing here is, so again, the beauty of the Klamath pearl is that I can actually pre-cook the potato, which I have done in this case, but I can also reintroduce it into the broth and continue cooking with the salmon. So it's going to actually pick up some of the salmon flavors as well at the same time. So again, unlike most potatoes that end up sort of dissolving or splitting or falling apart, they just don't do it. They just sort of hang in there, which is terrific from a chef point of view. And just put them in there. And now you have this really great looking thing. So right away you start recognizing the pearls part of this thing. Is that they just look like great little pearls here. And what better combination than seafood and pearls? That's the magic right there. Yeah, so now, it's just excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce a little bit of dill weed now. I already put some parsley in. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little salt and pepper in. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and season the salmon with salt and pepper too. You may not think that's necessary because it's going to be in a seasoned broth already, but I always believe in that it's important to season the proteins separately because then you don't really know that the protein's seasoned the way it's supposed to be. So now that we have our nage at a nice simmer, again, we don't want to boil it here, so we're just sort of infusing those aromatics into this broth. That we have the Klamath pearls in there, we have the leeks, the herbs, the tomato concasse. It's a really nice flavor right now. So we're going to go ahead and drop in our salmon here. And this is wild-caught salmon, which is great. We're just going to kind of lay that in there.
I love that you're cooking everything in the same pot, nothing separate. It's all going to mix together and get all those flavors.
So you just want to kind of just let it sink in there a little bit. Then all we're going to do here is just really just cover it and turn it down to a nice little simmer. Probably going to take maybe 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the salmon thickness and depending on how much it's boiling or simmering and so on. So it's a little bit variable there, but that's all it is. So then once we get it to a nice simmer after 3 or 4 minutes here, we're going to take a look at it, and then we'll do our plating. Okay, so now I believe the salmon's ready. We can take a look at it. Here it is.
Smells and looks perfect.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the salmon out first and lay it on a little side plate here. Then we're going to dish up this Klamath pearl nage. It's just spectacular looking stuff. Just love this look. Very Northwesty, I think. So there's fennel in there. You can smell it, and the salmon's gonna sit up on top of those nice little pearls.
Yeah, that broth is extremely aromatic.
And then we're also gonna hit this with just a little bit of fresh arugula. And arugula has a little bit of nice pepperiness to it. And there you have it. That's the Klamath pearl nage with wild salmon.
Looks beautiful, Leif. Thank you.
You're welcome.